Welcome back to the Unbiased Opinion, where everyone's opinion is biased except ours. I'm Colin,
By Skyrim.
And I'm the ghoul.
and we're continuing our review of the Fallout series that just came out. We're going to be covering the last four episodes, episodes 5 through 8. If you want to know what we thought about the first four, watch the video. But with that being said, in this last leg of four episodes, what did you guys think of the episodes and I guess of the series as a whole? Now that we could talk about spoilers and whatnot.
I didn't really like it, but it's not as bad as I thought it would be. It's like a solid, like 4 out of 10.
That's not pretty solid.
Well, you know what I mean? Like I was expecting a complete train wreck, and it wasn't. So maybe
Okay.
I'm being nice to it, but you know what I mean? Like some of these shows that come out now are like butcher the show, butcher the lore, which obviously doesn't do a great job, but it could have been worse. So I guess maybe I'm being too nice.
Okay. Daniel.
Yeah, I'm on the same opinion. Um, I didn't hate it. I didn't love it.
I thought it
And
was okay. Yeah, you keep going. I'm sorry. I thought you were
yeah,
finished.
like
I'm
I was
sorry.
gonna say, I would give it. It's okay. It's okay. I would say, yeah, I'd give it like a five. It's not. You don't like. I'm not struggling to watch any of this. Like I can watch it no problem.
Yeah.
And I think the second half, had they ended it better, I think the second half would have been easily, I think, maybe a bit better than the first.
So I don't know if
I
this is
think
a controversial opinion or not. I thought the first four episodes were better in parts than the last four. I know we talked about how we all hate Maximus, and I still hate him by the end. I don't really care about him. And I
Well, he was
thought,
awful, by far the
yeah,
worst
I
character.
always thought he was just like the biggest drag whenever he was on screen.
yeah,
But I thought the ending was like a little silly and not a good way.
I think it was easily the worst part of the show.
Yeah. And as again, as I said in our first part of this program on Fallout, I know nothing about the games. I know, I guess you could say a general premise, but I never played the games. I do own Fallout New Vegas, but I never played it. And I'm
That's my
speaking,
copy.
yeah, whatever. Speaking of which, didn't you guys know that apparently New Vegas is canon in this, or this show is in the timeline of New Vegas?
So that was the big controversy from like the diehard fans. People were saying, does that mean New Vegas is canon or it's not canon? Because there are some lore contradictions. Now, I'm not going to dive into the weeds, but Todd Howard says it's all canon, and people say, what does that mean? Because there's some contradiction. He goes, shut up, it's canon, and buy Skyrim.
Yeah.
Which I mean, part of the inconsistency is the fact that there's multiple endings. So which one is canon? He doesn't
Oh,
care.
is there? Okay, I did not know that.
Well, yeah, like Fallout 4 has multiple endings, Fallout 3 has multiple endings,
Yeah,
Is it
Fallout
like
New Vegas has multiple endings.
okay, so this is probably like an obscure reference, but is it like Marvel Ultimate Alliance kind of endings where if you do
No.
all the quests, you get a good ending, like an okay ending,
no,
bad ending?
No, like so there's like because they don't play Fallout 4. There is like three main factions you can join. You can join like the Brotherhood of Steel, you can join the Institute, which is scientists from MIT, or you could join like the Railroad, which is a bunch of like idiots who were like synth rights.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
And then
And
whichever
depending
one you
on
side with, you destroy the others.
yeah.
Oh,
So like
okay.
that's why trying to have canon stuff in the show I think could be difficult. Granted, I never played the game, so maybe I'm missing something. But that part I understand people are always going
But
to be
you're
upset
talking about
because
Fallout 4, not New Vegas.
No, but he was saying that how New Vegas plays out, like
Oh,
why people are complaining about the canon issues
because that has
because
the same kind of
any
thing
dis-
where there's multiple
any
endings.
yeah, so
yeah.
there's so I think there's I haven't played the games, but I've seen some stuff. There's like Caesar's Legion or Kaiser's Legion, whatever you want to say, the NCR. I think Mr. House, who we do see at that boardroom, which kind of butchers his character. And I'm trying to remember the last group. I don't know if it's the Enclave or the Brotherhood of Steel, but those are like the major factions in the Mojave Desert.
Ah, okay. I think, yeah, going back on the ending, I thought it was like too over the top. And
And
if,
not in a good way.
yeah, you know what? It felt like I saw on the YouTube channel Movie Clips, I saw the ending of Watchmen, where it was like their goal for peace was to kill millions to save billions. I was kind of getting that kind of vibe, and I was like,
But
ugh.
but in Watchmen,
They
so
did they did it for like world peace though.
well, yeah, they were gonna bomb. So in the movie, they
They're gonna bomb
bombed this
Manhattan.
place, yes, and blame it on Dr. Manhattan to get him off planet and kind of unite the world against him.
Right.
So which makes more sense than this is.
Oh yeah, this was they wanted to nuke themselves so everybody
It's just
can,
a form of monopoly.
yeah,
It's,
own Vault-Tec and everyone can go underground who has money.
it's
See, this
essentially
is,
to privatize the world.
but again, they clearly they haven't done a very good job of it.
So which begs the question in the games, I'm assuming the Vault people aren't bad guys. They're just an
No, the
underground
vault,
In the
society.
games,
the
Yeah,
vault.
in the
No,
games.
In Fallout 4, once you leave the Vault-Tec, you don't talk about them at all. It's all about the factions that are in the wasteland.
well,
Once
Vault-Tec
you
are bad guys.
Oh, they are in the
They
games.
are. They helped create those horrible experiments on people, but they weren't doing it to like. I, it was just I think it was the Enclave. They just wanted to experiment on people. I have to double check my lore,
Well,
but the
but that
point
wasn't
is,
in Fallout 4 though, right?
well, yeah, there's like some vaults had horrible experiments. I don't really remember as
No,
much
no,
from
but I'm
Fallout
saying, but like
4.
they weren't like a faction. Like it
No,
was
they
the
never were a
Institute.
faction.
Yeah, you had the Institute. Because once you in Fallout 4, once you left the Vault, that was about it. It was about more like going into like Diamond City, then helping out each of the factions and deciding eventually who you wanted to rule the wasteland, essentially.
Ad
Okay.
Victorium Brothers.
But yeah, like it was just stupid for them to like say who dropped the bombs or who did that because you don't need to. I think you know having the Vault have a major storyline in this kind of is like, because it's more about the wasteland. It's about you roaming the wasteland, dealing with the aftermath of everything. It's an entire new world. Like there's so much going on within the wasteland. Like you don't need to be stuck in the vault or like. But the point I was making is like the vault storyline that they had in current times was to me stupid enough of like, oh, like they're trying to control this little populace of people, like just keep them down there. And it's like, whatever. Like there's enough with the wasteland going on. They could have easily focused more on that. And then to dive even more into Vault, like the background, I'm like, why?
So this is what I understand. Voltec's talking about how they have, they got huge government contracts building these vaults, and they're making tons of money. And they're implying that they're like this huge conglomerate, they have a monopoly, or they're, conspiring to make a monopoly. Why destroy the world? Why destroy your monopoly? Like, it
Yeah, that's
doesn't
like
make any sense.
counterintuitive.
And
Yeah.
especially too because they're making so much money on the fear of nuclear war.
It'd be better if there isn't one. Like,
Yeah.
Exactly.
oh, there is
Yeah.
one
Continue.
coming. We don't know when.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what normal people would do. That's what smart people would do. That's what people do today. The threat of, things lingering over you is worse. The sort of Damocles and stuff. That's worse. And then all of a sudden saying we're gonna nuke the world, rebuild in our image. Like if you have such control over the world now, why would you risk destroying the world to then get control over it and rebuild society? You can rebuild society like at that point then. If you have a monopoly, you can control the economy, you can control politicians, you can shape society. It would take time, but you could do it.
Yeah.
Destroying the world's not going to help. It's not going to set you back.
Especially especially when they were like in the in the when he's listening in on the Vault Tech meeting, and they're like, yeah, we heard about peace negotiations like setting us back, like rumors about that like setting us back. It's like, logically your thing would just be to keep the war going, just
Yeah.
like almost fund both sides of the war, if anything. Like, and now if they did that storyline of like Voltec funding both sides of the war just to really keep it going and keep the money in their pockets, and then stuff like that, that makes more sense. And then the nukes just happened to go off because of that, because they kept the wars going. Like, I think that's a better consequence of action, than oh yeah, let's just drop the bombs.
It just doesn't make it doesn't make any sense.
I also
Yeah,
thought it was very silly where they what's her name again? Lucy. Yeah, I was gonna say Ella. Lucy's dad is like 200 plus years old.
He was cryogenically
Yeah,
frozen.
I'm like, what? I don't know. I thought that was just really
Well,
lame.
well, so the
Well, and they
That
cryogenically
whole
revealed too.
frozen.
that
So the
whole board
cryogenic.
was cryogenically frozen.
So the cryo that stuff is true. It is technically canon in the games because Fallout 4, you awaken from a cryogenic freeze.
Really? Okay.
So yeah, but it's not. It's not they cryogenically freeze the managers, buds, as they call them, to rule the rest of the minions and keep them controlled. It's you were just cryogenically frozen. They cryogenically froze humans to essentially outlast the radiation and then wake up once the radiation is supposedly cleared so then they can start repopulating. That's the reason for the cryogenic
Oh,
freezing.
okay. That makes
But,
more
but what,
sense.
what happened in Fallout 4 was yours someone broke into the vault, shot your wife and took your son, and then you through an error, like a mechanical error, then you awoken. So you saw it, went back to sleep, and then like a something happened where you awoke. So it wasn't like you were this leader running the vault to control your minions. It was no, you were just cryogenically frozen to outlast the radiation, essentially an estimate when it'd be safe to go back. Am I getting that right, Craig? Fact checked it.
So where
Yeah.
is so Moldover was a vault person then? Then did she?
No, see, I don't
How
think
did
she
she?
was.
How did she get her
That
cryogenically frozen then?
I don't think they explained that. I mean, they talked
No,
about she
they
made.
they 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 never touched on that. They just said that she was the leader, essentially, of was it the New California Republic, is what
Yep.
they
See,
hinted at.
see that was the crazy part too. Like she was supposed to be this communist, but she's obviously like super rich. And I love how the ghoul calls her out like a rich communist, and she goes, "Well, I'm a hypocrite, but the people are bigger hypocrites, so it's okay for me to be a hypocrite." It's like, what? I mean, typical communist fashion to be a hypocrite, but I just don't like. You don't make yourself look good doing that.
So the way I guess the lore in the show now, it would have to be inferred or implied that she had to have been cryogenically frozen to then start rebuilding because
Well,
there's no
yeah,
way
I
she's
got that. But
living.
I'm thinking like, so did her little people in her California Republic have their own cryotubes? Like, how
Well, I
does?
think it was just her because so the NCR in the games, it's based off people living in California after the fallout, trying to rebuild society. Her showing up out of nowhere, I don't understand because it's not like there's nothing special about her to be the leader. Like she's
Yeah,
some failed communist who made cold fusion, which it's not real.
it's real in Star Trek Into Darkness.
Yeah, I don't. And it was also stupid to like kind of introduce her just to kill her, kind of a deal.
Well, no, she was in the first episode, so
No. But I mean, but like you introduce her, and then she's back at the end, and then she just dies.
Well, the
Like
sympathetic communist is actually the hero.
because it's like they introduce her. She's supposed to paid off as played off initially as the big bad guy or girl, and like and then you bring her in the last episode, and then that's it. Like they almost like would have set her up like it would have been almost better that okay, Lucy's now done with the vaults. Now she's dealing with the new like going. I feel like going into season two, you could establish you know, like Lucy decides to stay with the new California Republic as the rebuilding, and then issues arise there. Like you can explore that area, but they just kind of like gloss over it. Now she's just moving on to the bigger, badder guy.
Yeah, in New
which is her
Vegas.
dad. Or is there another big
Yeah.
bad guy that will probably show up?
Also,
Well, the guy,
also,
the guy, the brain in the jar.
Oh yeah, that guy. Well, he's in the
Bud,
vaults though. Bud,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I
Bud,
mean, yeah, buds.
which that was stupid. Like, but yeah, why was he not like cryogenically? Oh, I
Well,
guess
he has to
because
be
he
alive
probably.
to oversee everything. I guess unfreeze people.
Interesting.
But
Yeah, because I
here's
was
an,
thinking like, how do they choose when they want to like? Do they just put a timer on? Like, oh, you wake me up in 200 years.
Well, I guess whenever the overseer
Jen.
dies, the next person gets awoken.
Yeah, because they were hiding them off in Vault 31. Like, oh, they're living over there, our neighbors.
I mean, I think the craziest thing was the whole dad thing. That's why I was like, this is so kind of dumb.
Well, it's supposed to be this big reveal, and it's like, oh, well, I mean, I kind of forgot about her dad for a while, so
Yeah, because you haven't seen him since like episode one.
yeah. And the other thing too, which I did not like, was the two storylines kind of coming to the same conclusion that Voltec's really bad. Because again, that's really like that's not really like for me and Daniel who have played the games, that's not really a shock or a twist or anything. We know Voltec is evil. Like the fun of the games is figuring out what the people are doing after the bomb drop and trying to navigate the world post,
Yeah.
Eh, it's just weird that they're trying to constantly they're always
Yeah,
tied to the
like,
past and
yeah,
reliving the Voltec
there
experiments.
should be remnants of Vault-Tec, not Vault-Tec.
I mean, there are remnants, they're still living in the vault, but that should be enough.
Then, yeah, no, that's what I mean. Is like that's it. Like it should not be like. And also too, here, here's another thing I was thinking about too. When the dad bombed the Shady Sands, or
Yeah, were they
Sandy
seeing this
Shades, what
nuclear
is it?
arsenal?
Well, like, but here's the thing, right? If Voltec wants to reshape the world in their image, they want to take their population and take over the surface world. If they can bomb one of these major cities, why are they not bombing any other like civilization? So what were they
Like
doing?
New
Just waiting
Vegas?
down? Yeah, like what were they doing down there? Like so, like they're like, oh, we're gonna retake the surface world. I was just confused. Like, so we want to control people, but Voltec's original goal was to reshape the world. So why are we just waiting down here? Apparently, you can go bomb cities. Like, I I was just confused. Like, so what is their ultimate end goal?
Well, there's several things wrong with that. For one, bombing a city shouldn't be the collapse of the NCR. The NCR took up most of California into Nevada. Bombing the capital shouldn't destroy the country. I mean, if we were to like nuke Washington, D.C., London, whatever capital city of a country, they would still function. It would be devastating, but the country's not going to collapse overnight. So there is that issue. And again, why are they sitting on a nuclear arsenal? I mean, like, where do they even get this arsenal to bomb the world over? Because it's not like it's going to take one or two nukes. I mean, it's going to take a lot.
Yeah.
So where do we get this all these nukes from?
I just didn't get their plan. It's like, so what are you waiting for? Clearly, there's life on the planet, so there's going to be someone in the way of your monopoly. So you just got to keep your monopoly underground. Then what happens? You run out of supplies, and then
Well,
you have to go up.
what's else? There's the issue with the plane itself. Like, it doesn't make sense. If you have a monopoly in present time, why risk destroying it? It does not make any sense.
Especially if you nuke the surface area, the surface world, where these people become feral. Like, what good does that do you? See, that's why I just couldn't wrap my head around this. The nuking.
It makes no sense.
Yeah.
I've seen people try to rationalize it, like, oh,
Yeah.
they got more power now. It's like, no, there's no society. See, I look a lot of history, right?
Yeah.
Why did
Okay.
the Romans never conquer the Germans? It wasn't because they couldn't. It wasn't because they didn't have enough manpower. So they had superior technology. It's because there was no infrastructure. There are a bunch of you know, like they live in small villages in tall, dense forests. It's not very easy to conquer because there's no major cities to capture. There's no major points of like commerce or industry to attack. You can't conquer that. So if you destroy the world over, you're destroying all the infrastructure, all the major cities, all the places you would want to control. It makes absolutely zero sense to do so.
Yeah.
Now, it would make sense to have the cryogenic freezing to keep your Voltec alive as the future progresses, and you're pushing it in the way you want. But
If anything, they should have stolen
it's,
the nukes and just held Earth hostage. So yeah, if you don't do what we want, we'll nuke the world over. So better listen and
and
drop
that's
one
what
to test it.
And that's where I was saying, like, and now if they get into both sides of the war, they can hold the world hostage.
It makes absolutely no sense, and I see people trying to defend it, and
So they
they're
would
very
want to
stupid
run
for
their
it.
monopoly on the surface still after they nuked everything.
Well,
essentially. But again, you destroyed everything you're ruling over. It's like why
and they're
people don't
also
bomb their own citizens. It's stupid.
and there's also clearly other civilizations. So I'm like, what are you waiting for? One, you have the manpower, you have the arsenal to take out cities, but you want to keep your people underground. I don't like. What are you waiting for? That's why I just don't get the whole thing. Like you have your vaults under control. Like it was shown in the show. The only time the vaults went out of control was when in the Vault 4 when they were testing
Well, it's not the
on
only vault. I
people.
mean, in the games, lots of vaults went out of control because they were horrible experiments, not really meant to survive a long time. So most of them went out of control pretty quickly.
Well, yeah, that's for like the cryogenic freezing just to keep them, down until the radiation's like, okay, wake up now, go. Like it's just, I
But
just,
that was one of the more saint. That was one of the more humane vaults.
yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. I really don't understand their plan. I know every TV show has to have their social commentary and like something like capitalism, but it's very um obviously not well put because again, you're not criticizing capitalism, you're criticizing monopolies and the extreme stupidity of writers in Hollywood, not really, titans of industry, because no titan of
Aren't they,
industry would
aren't they
ever.
really, aren't they really, aren't they really criticizing communism?
I don't think the writers intended to.
Like they think they're making a joke about capitalism, but that's not capitalism. That's communism. Like a monopoly, one centralized form of
Well, yeah,
government to
well, I
control
mean, if you want to
everything.
get technical, it's like state planning, but
Yeah.
uh, in terms of this, they're obviously trying to criticize capitalism. And again, the people who
Oh
write these
yeah,
shows
it
are
felt
not very
horribly,
smart.
but
A monopoly is not really capitalism. That kind of defeats the purpose. Capitalism is defined as the free market. If you don't have a free market, it's not really capitalism, which, if you open up like a textbook, you would see this stuff, but, it's too much reading for these people.
yeah. Well, and also too, it didn't really matter too much, but I just thought about it the way they established it. How is the mom not like feral?
How
Or
is
is
she
she like
She was
alive?
a zombie. I'm
yeah?
like, why are
She
they
was
keeping
missing
her
like
there?
she was missing her entire face. It was a skeleton.
She would have been either feral or just dead.
Well, she was feral. It's just what she was, right? Because
Was
they had her
she
chained up.
was she chained up?
Yeah,
Yeah,
she was
she
chained up, right? That's
was.
because she was feral. But how
Okay.
is she alive? Like,
She looked like Emotep from the Mummy.
yeah, like you can't be missing half your most of your face when you see a skeleton.
Emotep.
Emotep.
You just see Benny there. And another,
Think of the children. Think of my
you know, I,
children. You don't
I take
have
it
any
back. The
children.
first half, the first half was better because now that I'm really thinking about it, um, so another episode that was completely pointless or storyline was them ending up in that other vault where they have that weird like naked worship thing and they worship the flame mother as like a messianic figure, like a god essentially.
Well,
Like I don't,
my problem
I
with that
don't
episode, besides all that weird stuff, Maximus like apparently his IQ was already like room temperature, but now he's like going into the negative digits. I mean, all of a sudden he forgets the ability to talk. Like he can't complete a sentence. Like Max, like, I can't do that. I can't do that. I want to sit in my chair. It's like, what happened to like? Because I was giving the show the benefit of the doubt. After he started acting dumb, they showed like the test subjects over the room they were getting held. I said, oh, maybe he's like getting experimented on now. No, he just for some reason lost like all of his IQ points. Like he went into his stats in the game and had like a negative intelligence somehow. Because like you saw the entire show, like he couldn't think. He was just sitting in his room eating popcorn and watching old time movies. While Lucy's like, "Oh my God, there's weird stuff going on."
I, so are the people's mutations from these
What?
wait, so the people's mutations was that from them being from the surface?
No, so do you remember that the advertisement that Cooper Howard did? Not built by God Almighty, by the working man. So there was that scientist who were running the Vault 4 before the bombs dropped. They were the monsters that created all those genetic experiments. That was like they were like just experiments on people trying to do whatever weird thing they could do. Like the woman who gave birth to fish, um, the guy who that guy with the voice who had the one eye,
It's
Oh
like,
yeah.
all those weird deformities.
Oh, with the gulper, that was actually my great uncle Pete.
Yeah, that was those scientists just going crazy. Yeah, I did not like that episode. Like,
Well,
I didn't
that
think it
is,
was a
but
waste of time just for the story. It was just a waste of time because of how they treated the characters.
well, it didn't do anything. That's like
'Cause I mean, that was also one of my complaints with the show. I feel like you didn't need 8 episodes. You could have cut this down to at least six. Because I feel like they're trying to, there's like the mystery box. They're trying to keep you strung along to the end for the big reveal. And they're slowly giving you information, like slowly giving you information that Cooper Howard's wife is bad. It's like, I feel like you could have cut this down pretty quickly.
yeah,
He's always doing secret meetings and stuff. You're like, oh, and they're recreating the stuff like the Red Scare in Hollywood, which I mean, people were right for those accusations. Most people were communists, and we should have gotten them. But trying to recreate that and have a commentary on that, yeah, not a very good one when most of the accusations were correct. And I don't know, I just feel like they were dragging along. Like, they could have cut a lot of the stuff down because, especially the other storyline too, with her brother and that weird guy in the vault, Chet.
oh yeah. Then you
Like
got
they're
Matt Healy.
slowly giving you like the drip feeding you the same information that Cooper
Chet,
Howard
you
and
just
Lucy are learning.
stepped out of the vault. Chet.
Yeah. Because that was just my
Yeah,
problem too. Like usually when you
yeah,
want multiple storylines, you want them to kind of meet at the same point, but at least have different things going on. You have two storylines covering the exact same information. Vault Tech is bad. Wow. Shocker.
yeah. Well, that's the thing. It's like most of the time in the vault, it's just her brother with that like teary-eyed look, like he's about to cry anytime, just wandering around the vaults. It's
Fearful of
just
his
dragged.
pregnant, like living woman.
Yeah.
at least
I
the
guess
ghoul is
it's,
cool.
Yeah. I don't know. I just feel like those two storylines didn't. You could have cut one of them.
I'm all you needed was Lucy and the ghoul. Cut out the rest. Like the Brotherhood of Steel being there is fine, but like you don't need them to like you don't need Maximus there because and here's another thing too with the Brotherhood of Steel. They clearly had this arsenal, so why if like and then the guy when Maximus returns with the fake head and they scold him and then the clergy guy is like talking to him like power's not given, you take power. It's like you have this military group, you have this arsenal, you have knights. Like they clearly can wipe out whoever they want. Like we need to take power back. It's like, I mean, even if like the Moldover got like released the cold fusion, like you could still go in and take control. Like they clearly have the arsenal to just go around and take out people.
Yeah, they crushed
It
the.
seems like everyone has an arsenal, but everyone's just sitting on their hands.
All this dumb stuff. Because if
Like I,
this, for one, cold fusion, it doesn't exist, and for some reason they're fitting it like to the size of a pill. Cold fusion.
In some guy's head.
Yeah, I mean, for the people who don't know what cold fusion is, it's just a nuclear reaction at room temperature as opposed to normally taking place at really high temperatures, which makes it very difficult to do.
Why is
So
cold
the fact,
fusion always blue?
because it's cold, and usually when you imagine cold, you think of blue.
I would think of
even
white.
though even though even though blue is like the hottest part of the fire.
Well, I mean, you also think of blue, like, it doesn't matter. The point is, the science doesn't make sense, and all of a sudden they put some cold fusion in some device at that California observatory, and for some reason all the lights in the city turn on. I'm like, were they destroyed in the nuclear blast? Am I missing
Yeah,
something
that's
here?
That's assuming that machine she has is connected to all the generators in that
Pe-
area.
So again, I've not fully played Fallout New Vegas, but I know the major climax of the game is which faction takes control of the Hoover Dam, which does generate power and does give power to the areas that they're fighting over. Makes sense.
Ah, yeah.
The infrastructure's already
Yeah,
there.
like introducing cold fusion, like I feel like this early, like I don't know, it kind of doesn't play well into it. Like the whole thing of Fallout, it's about scarcity. So like something like the Hoover Dam, where you have this, it's big, but you have this one thing that can generate power, and now everyone's fighting for it. Like that makes more sense than just like cold fusion. It's like, oh, it's infinite energy. Like I think it's better if one group has a limited supply. It plays better into it. But like, oh yeah, at the end of the season, yeah, infinite energy is introduced.
So when they nuked everything, do they nuke like every 20, 30 years? Like one city? Because
Are
there's
you
the
talking about the
nuke
games
in
or
the show, because there's a nuke that was 200 years ago. Like if we're in the current time of the show where Lucy's running around, 200 years ago they nuked L.A. and they nuked it again because that's when Maximus was a kid.
yeah, in Shady Sands?
Well,
So
that was done by the dad. The original Fallout was like, I believe, all at once.
so
Oh,
that's
okay.
also the controversy, part of the controversy too. In the game, they left it vague who dropped the nukes first. The creator said it was China, so obviously, these companies aren't gonna ever badmouth China. I will.
Okay.
And but the creator said, yeah, it was China, and the game's kind of left it vague. Doesn't really matter who dropped the bombs. We're living in the
Yeah.
the aftermath, and to completely change it to again, a bunch of corporations somehow got a hold of, the world's nuclear arsenal and bombed the world. Is I don't know, a little suspicious, man.
Okay.
Because yeah, you could say we're going to nuke the world, but there's a lot of logistics to get to that step. How are you going to do it? Is anyone going to stop you? Because obviously you
Biggest
don't.
question is why.
Well, that too.
Yeah. Because Colin, for point of reference, in the beginning of Fallout 4, um, it starts with a great monologue, Craig, which they ruined that line in the
Oh, is
show, and
that a war never
that
changes?
angered me. That angered
Yeah.
me.
Yeah, I've heard that before. Craig, when you started, I think when the trailer came out for Fallout 4, you kept on saying that war never
Yeah, just to annoy
changes.
you.
War, war never changes.
Yeah, I
But like
remember
the
that.
whole thing, but the whole th- but it was about your character, and like your character was serving in the army at the time,
And like the
and
never-ending conflicts that people always
yeah,
have,
so he was actually fighting in the war, and all that.
like the
So
ghoul.
yeah, so
Like
the
they serve together.
ghoul saying it makes sense, but like his wife saying it is just kind of stupid and forced
Oh,
because
they're
Oh,
because because the,
I think also real
because
quick, she tried like what was it, upstaging him when he was talking about how he served and all the stuff he went through, and then she
yeah.
tried upstaging him. I'm like, all right, like
yeah, he actually
you're
he was
talking
on the
down
front
to
lines.
a veteran.
Yeah,
Yeah, what
Yeah,
if
it wasn't
and
like a veteran that who didn't do
parents
anything. He
worried
was on the
about
front
you. It's like,
lines.
yeah.
yeah, sure, you're worried about him, but you're still at your nice house with your daughter
Yeah.
and dog, and he's on the front lines fighting.
It's like
Yeah,
me
but you're
talking down to some like World War II veteran. I get
yeah, you know
laughed
how
at.
tough it is working in the office.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I served during COVID.
You don't know what it's
All
like
right,
working in the film industry. It's like you don't know what it's like storming Normandy.
Yeah, mine's worse though.
I
People like
served a
Brian, people like Brian Peck are on the loose.
That's true.
Colonel stormed a prop set in Normandy.
Yeah, I was a set PA in Saving Private Ryan during that scene.
Yeah. I was responsible for the makeup, but like,
That was probably the
yeah,
biggest eye roll. Maybe for you guys is the war never changes because they butchered that. But I
Mine
thought
was the
just
whole boardroom
oh,
scene.
oh yeah, yeah, that too. But just her talking down to this man
yeah.
who,
You don't know what I have.
oh,
It's like you have the like your suffering is essentially getting you an like an in on like if there is a nuclear fallout. Like you are part of a corporation that essentially has the world like in its hands, and you can drop the bomb whenever you want. Like don't talk about suffering when you're holding the world hostage. Like this whole thing of like, oh, we can get the best vaults or whatever. It's like it was stupid. That no, yeah, Colin, that part did anger me too. But
yeah.
especially the war never changed because I was That was such a great intro to Fallout 4, and then they just butchered it with
Not just
her.
Fallout 4, they say that line in front of every Fallout game. Yeah, because they had what's that guy's name? He was in he played Hellboy. That guy. He does the voiceover for every Fallout game. The war never changes.
Ron
Oh,
Perlman?
I think so.
I don't think that's him. But
No,
um
I know they hired the same guy for every game. Even the first one, like 98,
7,
97, when the first one
7,
came out.
97.
Yeah, whatever. Point is, yeah, it's like a iconic line from the games.
And they
yeah.
ruined it.
Of
Yeah,
course.
yeah, but like with the bombs going off, like them taking time to explain it. For point of reference, as I was saying with Fallout 4, um, like you're with your like in your house, whatever, with your wife and your infant son, and then like some Vault Tech guy shows up that day, like, oh, buy Vault, so you buy it, and then you get like the alert that bombs are going off, so you run to the nearby vault, and then as you're going down in the vault, you see a nuke going off near you, and that's it. Like so there's no like taking the time to explain who did it, yada yada yada. It's like, oh, it kicks right up. It's like, oh, bomb's going off, get in the vault.
Hmm.
So, here's something I wanted to talk about last episode. So the ghoul's saying he's the reason why he still wants to keep going because he's looking for his family. Now, I understand maybe he wants to kill his wife, but what about his daughter? She was with him when the bombs dropped. Where did she go? Unless it's another stupid
That, that
mystery box for the show.
well, that was another thing that I was thinking about when they were like the wife being the one dropping the bombs. It's like, why was he not with his wife when they
I
were
mean, the
dropping the
husband.
bombs?
Yeah,
Well,
well, they were divorced because they were talking about why is he doing these like kid shows. So they divorced, but like to your point, if she knew when the bombs were going to drop, why didn't she take her daughter with her?
yeah.
Because I'm assuming that's his daughter. I'm 99% sure that was his daughter in the beginning.
So his daughter survived, it seems, because he's asking where his family is.
Yes, that's
Well,
a
the wife
plural
survived
word.
too. Yeah.
So the wife, I get, maybe he wants to kill her, but in
Which
terms of
I'm assuming
daughter,
she's gonna be the big bad guy when he's like,
She's probably ruling
so,
all of New
someone's
Vegas.
always, yes, he said, someone's always behind it. I intend to find out. Like, so I'm guessing she somehow survived. She cryogenically froze herself too.
I mean,
Somehow she survived.
well,
Can you
her being
imagine? She's
alive, I
like,
can see. I just don't get how the daughter's alive. Because he said family, that's a plural word.
And yeah, he was with her when the nuke went off.
yeah,
I was gonna say some tragic, like, oh, they wouldn't let me in the vault. That's why I got burned. They let my dog in the vault though, or whatever. Something stupid, probably.
Yeah. Wait, I wasn't paying attention too much. I was like reading about what people were saying about the ending. Did you say that they were divorced, Howard and the wife?
That's what it sounded at the beginning.
Okay.
Because I remember some guy talking about how, why is he doing this? And
Oh,
it's
yes, you're right. They were talking about alimony.
yeah, because he's
You
like, I
were
guess,
right.
behind a lot of alimony. So when I pay attention, I pick up on a lot. Just some movies can't get my full attention.
Oh wow, that's yeah, because then I guess that's why. Talk
yeah.
about
So
like
why
an ex
was
hating you, Jesus. Dropping a
Virgin.
and your
nuke
kid
on
and your
you.
kid and your kid
Yeah.
apparently?
I hope the show doesn't wimp out if the ghoul gets to the wife and like he's like, "Oh, I still love you," and he doesn't shoot her. Like, no, just
Like
shoot her.
they try to like justify her actions or
No, just
do a
shoot her.
sympathetic approach. Like, I lost our daughter too. I suffered too.
Yeah, you're the one that dropped it.
Yeah.
I've been wandering for 200 years as a ghoul.
Yeah, I don't have a nose.
Like, he could, if he doesn't
Get
get the
jack o'
vials,
lantern.
if he doesn't get the vials, he can literally go feral.
Yeah, I can't believe I didn't pick up on that because like all the times they're shown throughout, like I guess before pre-bomb, PB, it was always they were together and obviously they had that one fight in episode 7, episode 8. But yeah, I completely forgot that they were divorced because that one line in episode one.
I mean, it makes sense why he would divorce her. She's clearly an evil, insane human being. That's why trying to give a redemption arc is so stupid. What she did, you can't get redemption for. You need to die and suffer. I mean, think of
Also,
what she
another
did. She helped cause the death of billions of people
Yeah,
willingly.
really.
Like that's not
because
something
of her, because of her, Craig, death claws exist.
that too. I mean, and not just the death of people in the immediately that she killed, like the millions of people after the fact that, now look at what she did. She destroyed society. Like that's not something that can be easily forgiven. Like, oh well, I guess she's really good at heart.
She meaned well,
Yeah,
even though they're trying to get a monopoly.
rebuild the society in their image, which is easier when there's a society to mold, not a bunch of people living in huts spread across the irradiated wasteland.
So I guess one thing that really didn't make any sense to me is all the people running around without any radiation protection. Isn't it all supposed to be just infested with radiation everywhere?
So, I mean, in real life radiation, I think it clears up pretty quickly, but in the games, it's usually only where the bombs dropped, specifically where the radiation is really bad. Normally, like if you were outside the radius or you got hit by
But
maybe
didn't
the
Lucy get radiation sickness?
But she got a
didn't she
stim
drink
pack.
she drank irradiated water,
Oh, that's
right?
right. That's right.
Yeah, but she got like medicine for it,
Hmm.
Well,
right?
the point is not everything's like super irradiated.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah, because that was the thing in the games. You could wander on most of the wasteland. It was certain areas you better made sure you had like a stim pack with you.
And right
Like I
away.
said, yeah, right away. Or if you had the knight armor on,
Keep
you would
out the
be fine.
rads and the
Yeah,
reds.
you would be fine if you had knight armor. Like they would be fine to go into any area
Oh,
essentially.
okay.
But yeah, as long as you would have to stock up on medication, if you did get too irradiated. I also thought it was stupid that they the guy that bullied Maximus like now is becoming a ghoul.
Well, well, first off, the fact that
Well, ghouls are like
Max
invincible.
Yeah, they're not in the games, but we need to go back to the point where Maximus is still pretending to be the guy that he helped kill. He reveals his identity, and Thaddeus the squire is like, "Oh my God, you must have killed this guy!" Like he could put two and two together. He's not stupid. And then he disabled the suit and ran away because he realized this guy's a traitor. I need to finish the mission on my own. Like the only character in the show like who wasn't a complete bumbling idiot.
Because
Besides
even
maybe the
after
ghoul.
Maximus stepped on his foot, and then his foot was disgusting.
Yeah. Because like we're supposed to make Thaddeus was like the bad guy or like he did something wrong. Like no, he Maximus is still this evil monster that I think people are trying to like shy away because he gets this crush on Lucy. Like he's not a good guy. I don't care that he worked for the Brotherhood of Steel.
Like I get the hazing and whatnot. Like yeah, that's bad, but I
I
don't
mean,
know.
he helped get his knights killed.
He
Yeah, he
literally,
wasn't
yeah.
nice, but he was the direct cause of his death.
And
Just
I
watched
and I get it. He
die.
was ridiculed early on in the show because they thought he put that trap in that girl's boot, even though it turned out later on that she did it herself, so she didn't have to get deployed.
Yeah, but even though then she gets promoted anyway,
Yeah.
which doesn't make any sense. And then Maximus gets promoted for some reason, even though he kept screwing up. He lied to them. He killed somebody. Like I can't
Yeah,
imagine.
I don't get that. Like that's like a speed run in how you get thrown in jail.
Yeah, you get court-martialed or just
Yeah,
executed.
you
They
let
probably
a
realistically
superior die in front of you while you did nothing. You let it happen.
the way the Brotherhood of Steel ran itself, they probably would have just double tapped him.
I mean, like, you can't trust that kind of guy. That guy's a psychopath. And,
It's either that or you just see like, okay, you're excommunicated from us. Like they'd probably brand him a traitor and then just send him out into the wasteland. Like, yeah, go ahead.
like with Paladin Dance, like if you spare him, we were not going to kill you, but we see you next time, we will kill you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Maximus was just. So I take it back. I said Maximus is probably the worst part of the show. I think the whole plot with the nukes. I think that's honestly just the most baffling, dumbest thing. Especially it goes against all the things that the show is trying to say, and then they do that ridiculous thing with the nuke plot. I thought that was
Well,
just so poorly
that,
executed.
and that- I thought it was so cartoon evil, like with when they were talking about when she asked like for the best ideas and stuff to keep them getting invested in Voltec. And you hear some of these people like what their ideas are like, oh, let's have a group of people like let's separate parents and children. Let's fill up other vaults with psychedelic drugs or like
But see,
let's overcrowd a vault. I'm like, what is this cartoon week? Like,
again,
yes,
there's a difference
yes.
between what the games did and the show. In the games, it was evil scientists just screwing with people because they could. They just like, let's see what would happen because they were evil and sick people. In this case, she said every company gets certain vaults so they can help, that's their idea for how to rebuild society. How exactly is filling a vault with psychedelic drugs going to help you rebuild society? It is like this is the worst part about the reveal too. It doesn't make sense, you know, from a practical point of view, it doesn't make sense in the lore. It doesn't even make sense in the own show, like what they said 10 seconds ago.
Yeah, that is
Well,
easily.
well, Craig, we skip past that because she said war never changes.
Oh yeah. And she's actually probably secretly a good guy in the end. It's really, Bud's fault or whatever.
Dude, I would have I would have given the show so much credit. I thought it would have been like a funny if like Moldova she gets the cold fusion and it just like blows up. It's like a self-contained nuke. It just ignites.
But see, that's the thing
Like,
too. The Enclave would do something like that. They're evil. They would just give you, oh, it's cold fusion, like nukes you.
especially if it's like, oh, the Brotherhood are still here. Like, don't
So
let them get their hands on it. Self-destruct.
wait. So explain this to me. So in the beginning, Moldover wants that scientist who has the thing in his neck.
Yes.
Why did the Brotherhood of Steel want it then? What are they powering up?
So
because the
nothing. They like to hoard technology because they don't trust people with technology. So they were going to steal and probably just sit on it so we don't abuse it. Or honestly, they might have used it. I don't know because it's
well, it
obviously has
seemed
power implications.
And the
well, it
Ghoul
seemed
wanted to get it so he could get to Moldover to get answers?
Think so.
How
no,
did he know about it though? Like that there
no.
was.
I think he just wanted in the beginning. Well, those guys wanted him on as just to help capture it, like for a score.
Oh,
I
because he's
don't
like
think
a bounty
he's.
hunter, I guess.
Yeah, he's a bounty hunter, but
Okay.
his motivations kind of became blurred when, like, along the way, he's just. Well, I think. Well, what episode 7 was it when he gets captured by those that weird little group and he sees the wanted poster of her?
Oh yeah, when he sees what she looks like.
Yeah. I guess his motivations kind of became blurred at the end too.
I just don't. Okay, so on a surface level, I understand what the Brotherhood of Steel want the guy for, and I understand what Moldover wants the guy for. I understand that. It's just the Ghoul getting involved because
Well,
I think they knew what they wanted at the end, and then they're just trying to backtrack
well,
to
I
get
think
him involved.
I think initially he just wanted it for the money because there was clearly a bounty out for the scientist. So I think he originally wanted it just to make money, and then as things went on, it just.
Hmm.
I think
So
it's one of those things. It's like they wrote him in initially to be this cool bounty hunter guy who talks like this, and then it was as they were writing the rest of the show, it was like, yeah, we'll blur the lines. He now just wants to find out what happened to his family.
well, part of it too was apparently he said, "Oh, your name's Lucy McLean. I've
Oh
met your
yes, he did.
dad."
He did
So
say
I think
that.
Yeah.
that was part of his fascination with her, which doesn't make sense why you'd want to get her killed. But also,
Right.
yeah, I also think that's a little weird too. The fact that just because someone has the same last name doesn't necessarily mean they're related. I mean, it's not like they look like each other. It's not like it's
I'm,
this uncommon last name either, where you.
here's my thing too. Thinking
Well, I guess
back
maybe
on it,
for him, before Daniel continues, he directly met him. So it's like, something's a little suspicious, I guess.
But unless it's like say someone had the last name, like say their name was Johnson, I wouldn't think anything of it that they're related just because it's such a common last name.
Yeah, but it's like a
well,
McLean from a vault. Um,
I
listen,
know what you mean.
I'm
I
not
don't
going
try
to
to give it the
defend
benefit of
it,
the
but
doubt.
yeah, that I can at least, I think is more passable than him kind of tagging along. He said like, "Oh, he's a bounty hunter. He wanted to score." Dana, what did you want to say? I'm sorry.
well, I was gonna say I'm questioning because they said he's been at this for 200 years. He's been a ghoul
Yes.
essentially since the bombs dropped. So if she has a wanted poster and she's clearly made a name for herself, like how in those 200 years did he not know about her? Especially if they're all in the same area. It's not like he started on the East Coast and went
We're
west.
talking about Moldover?
Yeah, how did the ghoul not know about her?
Well, see, this is also part of the problem. She was probably frozen at some point, so
Well, her name was different too back then,
yeah.
so that's why maybe he didn't really know.
But these people have been awake for a generation at least, and he's been a bounty hunter for a
I mean, she
while.
looks the same age, so I don't know why they would make her the leader of the NCR.
And then wait, here's another thing too. Why was he in that grave in the beginning?
I think it's just to look cool.
Yeah, I guess they wanted a cool way to introduce him.
Yeah, so instead of, him just wandering around, he's like a vampire or something buried in a box, like I forget what it's called, like the casket in the ground being drip fed his chems.
Yeah, like an IV.
Yeah.
I just, I don't know, Craig. Just not a lot of things are adding up.
Oh, it's not. I'm using my abacus. It's not adding up.
He's like from Penguins of Madagascar, Kowalski using abacus.
Yeah, it always like he was like things are flying off.
Then he would smack it so hard that he'd knock some of the beads out.
Skipper, it's not adding up.
Yeah, the show just really needed to simplify itself. Like,
Well, I think they could have done with less episodes. I think the two storylines were redundant, kind of comes to the same conclusion. I feel like they padded these storylines to try to give you more scenes I don't think really helped. Obviously, the social commentary fails. That's all social commentary in these movies these days fails.
well, see, and I think if they plan to go to different areas, I think what you need to do is limit the factions. Like,
But there weren't that many though.
no,
It was
no,
the
no, I'm saying,
NCR and Voltec, Mother Steel.
no, I know what I was gonna say is have one faction be your like kind of main antagonist for the season. Like, just have them more focus against the Brotherhood of Steel or the NCR. Like, yeah.
Or,
Because
Caesar's Legion.
because the Brotherhood of Steel, it's like they're a big faction, but they're not really a part of it. Like they're just there. It's just, and the one they do include is the war is like the second worst character, or the worst. I mean, like Maximus and the wife are the worst two characters.
You know what I'm thinking, real quick? I'm thinking that people need to apologize to Godzilla King of the Monsters for Emma Russell's plan, where that plan makes way more sense than whatever the plan was in this to nuke everything as a
Well,
monopoly.
well, part of Emma's plan was it's faith based. This is supposed to be logic and crunching numbers, and it makes no sense no matter how you try to crunch numbers.
I'm honestly surprised. I'm looking online. Not a lot of people are just like jumping at that.
What
The
the
nuke.
boardroom scene? Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't
Well,
understand. It makes absolutely no sense.
because I saw a lot of people like, they saw New Vegas and they saw the Deathclaw skull. Like they're getting caught on the nostalgia of it. Like,
They did that in New Vegas?
No,
no,
so
no, no.
like
I'm
that
saying
city at the end you saw was New
that's
Vegas.
New
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Vegas,
yeah, yeah.
and then that skull it showed while he was walking up, that was Deathclaw, which is one of the big parts of the game is
Oh,
dealing
okay.
with those damn things.
Obviously, it's very deadly because it's called a death claw.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. No, it can kill you while you're in your knight armor. That thing's a tank. You see, if you look up like compilations, you'll see people just running from death claws. Like, but yeah, and then it's Craig. One thing I thought that they introduced, but they could have almost had it throughout, which I thought it would have been a cool nod to the games, is they introduce the radio guy. Now,
Yeah.
that was one of the best parts of Fallout 4 on the side, was hearing that guy talk. So it's so funny because he was like this like unsure guy. Yeah, so that was a that was a song, and we're gonna play this next song. And
Well,
there's no one here. I hope someone's listening. Like you just hear that guy at random points. Like if they had that playing at different parts of the show, I would like when they're wandering the wasteland. Like I would that would have been like a cool little nod. But they introduced the radio guy, and like he doesn't do anything. He's
Final
just like,
10
oh,
minutes.
yeah. It's like, oh, you have nice job on the traps. Oh, that's oh, he's like explaining music to the squire. It's like the best part of the radio guy was just hearing his like wimpy voice. So this is Carl, and
also, the
we're
other
gonna play the
part of his
song.
character too, which I think is also in Fallout 3 with the radio, is the guy's kind of commentating on things you do. So when you complete
Yeah,
a quest, he'll say like, "Oh yeah, we heard about the Lone Wanderer. He helped take out the Institute." So you kind of like hearing how maybe your actions are affecting the world, kind of make you more immersed in what you're doing.
yeah, like that. Like that would be funny. Like, oh yeah, so I heard someone got. I heard there's a shootout in Philly. Well, a lot of people died. Anyway, we're gonna
That's not
play
really
this
news. I
song.
mean,
No,
Philadelphia.
but like, but if you have something like that, like it's like, oh yeah, a lot of people died in Philly. Anyway, we're gonna play this hit.
I'm pretty sure it happens every night. I mean, you see the people that go to the sports
We're gonna
games.
play Mr. Sandman.
We watched The Quiet on Set, but here's a song by Nickelodeon.
Leave it
Here's
all to
Drake
me.
Bell's newest hit.
It makes me. And if they had that guy in the background, that would have been so. I would have loved that because that was always so funny. You'd just be wandering, and just hear that guy over the radio after like four songs just got played.
They had the Wander for like the 10th time.
Because he was that was the one for Diamond City in Fallout 4.
Yeah.
I miss that guy.
He misses you too.
And Craig, did they nod to um, the super mutants? Remember when
With
they're
what?
talking about in the Vault-Tec meeting when they're all wearing their Palpatine hoods? Um, they like, it was like, oh, we can make an army of super mutants. I was like, what?
So, in the games, super mutants are humans that are like horribly mutated and irradiated through a virus. Again, this was the Enclave. They were trying to create like I forget what they're trying to create, but they accidentally created super mutants with this called something called the FEV virus. I think it stands for like the forced evolutionary virus. Yeah, point is, it's another Enclave experiment gone wrong.
They're
When I
like,
keep
why
saying
could
they're
they
evil, I really mean they were evil.
see that's something like they could have introduced in the show, like instead of just going to another burnt down city and more humans, like introduce some of the unique things of Fallout, like bring in the super mutants, like
I think the
you
problem
know,
is the ghouls are kind of like that from what it sounds, from what you're
No, the super
describing.
mutants are like it's like the Hulk. It's like they're really big,
yeah,
strong, but
Oh, are
stupid.
they?
yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
no, yeah, they're like
Because Greg kept
juggernauts.
on saying that the ghouls die easily in the game.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
ghouls are essentially
It's
like
clearly not like
zombies.
how it is in the show.
No. The show they made the ghouls much more like deadly than they really were. Like in the game, you could take out like I remember one mission of Fallout 4, you had like when you like entered Diamond City, you could roam and like you go to like the supermarket, like there was maybe like 30 ghouls. You could wipe them out yourself. Like they were a threat, but they were like zombies. You
Oh.
you could kill an army of ghouls by yourself. But like the super mutants, they were like Hulks. Like they were strong. They talked. Oh,
One of the guy's
yeah,
name was Strong.
yeah. This, yeah, you could take him on as a companion.
Hey,
Strong, go kill
Strong.
him. Be strong, strong, go kill now. I love Strong. I just go send him out like to go deal with ghouls. You just see him just mowing them down. But yeah, no, like see the super mutants would have been cool to introduce instead of just like they go to another burnt town or they come across more ghouls in a supermarket or they come across one guy in a or a family in another building. It's like or another vault. Like why don't you introduce more of the creatures of Fallout instead of just more vault dwellers? They're people.
Cost money.
Those vault sets looked really expensive. Must have been some fancy soundstage they're at.
That's what I want to say that's where the budget went, but we know that's not where it went.
See, Craig. See,
Definitely
Craig.
wasn't towards the
That
writing.
Craig. That scene where they play back the video of the gulper devouring the two scientists. Like, that's when I thought at first they were going to introduce a Deathclaw, but they just brought back a creature that they killed in a couple episodes before. I was
Well,
like,
it's really
why?
expensive to create multiple models.
Yeah,
Uh,
probably.
yeah, but what was I gonna say? See, I think for the show, I think they've been better off just having it in a different location. Don't have it on the East Coast. Maybe have it somewhere, maybe in the Midwest, Texas, Florida. Just because all the games, it's taking place in the region where three games already took place. At some point, yeah, I just feel like you're setting yourself up for failure because there's going to be a lot of lore you don't want to follow. I mean, I don't know. I just feel you have more creative freedom if you pick a location that hasn't been touched yet.
Well, I felt like, I guess, possibly summarize some of our thoughts. I feel like probably what would have been better is that they took the world of Fallout and did their own thing with it and not try to connect it to the games, as it seems like now they did that. Maybe
Well,
retroactively they tried saying like, oh yeah, it's connected to this and that.
that would have been ideal, but obviously we don't live in an ideal world.
Yeah.
Because again, okay, so yeah, that's what I would prefer. But if they don't want to do that, okay, then how about putting in a different region where no other game took place, so you have full creative freedom?
Yeah, that works too. Yeah.
But no, we
Ima-
can't do that.
Imagine like irradiated crocodiles or alligators in Florida,
Oh my God. Like it's
radiated
like,
sharks.
oh, I don't want to imagine
What
that.
was what?
I don't want to. I want to imagine like irradiated crocodiles running around.
Oh god, could you imagine like a ghoul of Florida man? These guys would be
It's
invincible.
just like an army of irradiated squirrels as disposal. What was it? What were the what's the name of the irradiated crabs we fought?
Oh, the mire lurks.
Those were fun.
Yeah, like the king and queen are ginormous.
Well, the queen was ginormous, but the king was just he looked
Oh
like the
yeah, no, I
creature
remember.
from the
Yeah,
Black Lagoon. He looked like
yeah,
the
yeah,
creature
yeah.
from the Black Lagoon. And then
So for season two, they're probably gonna butcher New Vegas.
Well, so I haven't played the New Vegas game, but one of the characters, a major character in New Vegas who runs New Vegas, was on the boardroom scene.
Oh,
He
you
was the
did
guy with
mention
the
that.
he was the guy with the pencil mustache who
Okay.
kind of looks like
House was it House? Right? What's
yeah.
his name?
Yeah, he was a major character, and again, I haven't played the game, so what I'm seeing is through memes and other people talking about it. But he, in the game, he didn't know about the nukes getting dropped, obviously. He was just very smart and predicted when the nukes would drop and try to prepare for it himself, and he's trying to run his own little place. Obviously, that's going to ruin his character now because he apparently knew when the bombs are going to be dropped because he was in on it. Well, in the games,
Or
he but very much was not in on it.
That's a
you
pretty
think
big
that
change.
possibly the dad is going to reunite with him, and then they're going to run New Vegas together, and they're going to make the Las Vegas in their image.
Or something stupid
I
like
just
that.
want to see the big reveal for the wife.
Or is the mom going to be there too? The wife is going to be there with them, and they're gonna run it together.
Maybe his daughter's a ghoul. Oh, I'm talking about ghoul. Maybe there's a ghoul daughter.
That'd be kind of weird. That was
I think
weird.
I think it would have
She was
what?
with them when they got nuked, so
I think it would have made more sense if like they show like he talked about it to Lucy, like, maybe he's trying to find his wife for vengeance because he had to put his daughter down because she went feral.
Maybe. All I know is that from what I have a feeling for what is in store for us, I have a feeling that it's going to be very anticlimactic, whatever happens with the ghoul when he
Oh,
confronts the
and
wife.
and also too, Maximus, it's already leading. He's going to become the new leader of the Brotherhood of Steel, and he's
Yeah.
probably gonna
It was
the clergy guy.
so
He's probably gonna end up
undeserved.
killing. He's probably gonna end up killing the clergy guy and then take over the Brotherhood of Steel.
Yeah. He's such a scumbag, Maximus.
He's such a psycho. I don't understand this. 'Cause I think people were praising him. I don't understand. He's
I
by far the
saw I
worst
saw
character.
critics were like praising his performance. He was just awkward and a
Did
psychopath.
they not watch what episode was it? Did they not watch episode 6? That was horrible.
I guess not.
What was it when when like with like hi- when the other vault was like, oh yeah, like they thought they were gonna kill her, and they're like, yeah, you're free to go. Here's some 2 weeks supply, and then he just comes. It's like barging out. It's not like he comes in with the armor, is like let her go or else. He just comes in and starts attacking people.
Yeah, he's just like a psychopath in the making.
And they try to joke it off like, hey, but I'm gonna check on that guy. That guy's like bleeding out. They just
Mm.
smacked with the
Probably
armor.
bleeding internally.
But
After
speaking of that scene, when they escaped, see, this is why people didn't like Lucy, but this is why I kind of liked her. She made the
she
right
returned the
decision.
fusion core.
Yeah, because again, like we talked about, like she could have been, just as bad as everyone else in the wasteland, but she still chose to do the right thing, and I like that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
people had a problem with that.
Maximus. He was literally
Yeah,
about to be like, oh, "I need to power up my armor, but these people are gonna starve in 3 days."
yeah, like don't be so selfish, man.
Yeah, I think to put my thoughts succinctly on the show, I think probably the biggest surprise for me was Lucy. Because I feel like everybody, especially how Hollywood handles certain characters, it's just like such a disaster. But Lucy was, I think she was pretty good as a main protagonist.
Like again, I was expecting the absolute worst, someone
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Ray from Star Wars, and we didn't
Captain
get that.
Marvel.
Yeah, like
And
she was nice and didn't succumb to her worst
the
impulses.
more and more I'm talking about the show, especially the ending, I just don't really like it anymore. So I thought the show when I first watched it was like, not the worst thing, but I think the ending honestly kind of killed it for me.
Fair enough. I mean, I
Just
didn't like
just
it. Although,
just the whole idea of them nuking themselves made
Yeah,
that just took me out of it because yeah, it makes no sense.
like just the whole subplot. The show, if they just take out the whole going back into the past of how they got here and just focused on moving forward and present issues, would have
Yeah.
been much much better. Not saying it would have been a great show, but it would have one moved the storyline along a lot quicker instead of it feels like you're filling. Because that was the thing is it's like it felt like they didn't have enough for present times, so they were filling the voids with backstory, and they didn't need to. We don't need to look at the Palpatine meeting with the Vault Tech and all the other, big tech companies. We don't need that. You don't need to know who dropped the bombs. The bombs were dropped 200 years ago. They're dealing with the issues now.
Daniel, in one sentence, give me your thoughts on the show overall. Then I'll go to
Um,
Craig.
one sentence.
Yeah. Or just like one thought. What do you think? Like it, hate
Not
it?
a, I don't mind it. It's
You
not
don't
as
mind
bad
it?
as I thought, but at best, pretty mid. At best.
Okay. Craig?
well, kind of like what I said before, it's obviously not a good show. I think it's watchable. Obviously, it unravels at the end,
Yeah.
but like I
I
said,
think
maybe a
it nosedives
four, a three at
entirely.
the end, four to 3 out of 10 for the whole show.
Yeah,
Because
I
I do think
think.
the ending
Yeah,
is
you go.
important. Because people, I could say, oh, the ending's not great, but watch the show. I think the ending to stuff is very important and it's very critical because if the ending's
Yeah.
terrible, why bother going through the whole journey?
Especially when they were building up so much and taking such a sweet time to be like, oh, this big ending, and it's like that.
That's the best you came up with?
Yeah, I think I would also. I think maybe a 5 or a 4. I just hate the ending. And I think it probably ended about as badly as one could draw it up.
If they didn't have the ghoul in it, Colin, where would you rate it?
Oh, the Ghoul made the show.
Him and his Southern show.
Yeah. Well, with all of that being said, we have been the Unbiased Opinion, where everyone's opinion is biased except ours. Colin,
I'm Craig.
And I'm Daniel.
and we will see you next time.
Bye, Skyrim.